This conference will now be recorded.
And as everyone just heard, this meeting is now being recorded. Is anyone else recording the meeting? I don't hear anybody.
Roger, Glenn asked me just to find out who, we want to try to identify who the caller is. Can you tell me who this
Yes,
is?
there's still one more. I see Kyle.
Did somebody just call in, or did somebody call in addition to being on the video?
I just got here. Kyle Nardowitz.
It's
Okay.
somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's Roland Lambalot.
Jason?
There we go.
Okay. Okay. Call attendance. I have Amanda Reed,
Present.
Barbara Yocum,
Here.
Chaz Sexton Duranian.
Present.
And what town are you from?
Townsend.
Townsend. Okay. Thank you. Chris McNamara. Present. Jeff Tillotson from Ayer.
Present.
Guy Corpusero from Winchendon.
Present.
Kathy Norton. Kathy present? Okay. What town are you from? And Kyle Nardowitz. Mary Jo Bohart.
Here.
Peter Cunningham.
Yeah, Cunningham present.
Robert Schwartz.
Present.
Stacia Donahue.
Present.
And myself, Roger Hoyt from Ashburnham. Also in attendance from staff is Brian Doherty, Jason Stanton, Glenn Eaton, Holly Ford, Karen Chapman, Linda Quinlivan, and we have in attendance George Kahale. I see Alan Pease has joined us. Is there anyone I missed? Okay, if we could go back to the agenda, Jason. Okay, next item is the minutes from February 8th, 2024. Has anyone have any comments on the minutes as presented? Seeing no comments, if there are any at a later date, we can amend them, as we always say. I'll have a motion to approve the minutes of February.
Guy Corpusero, so moved, as presented.
Cunningham second.
Thank you. These are the minutes of February. I see this. Are there ones from January to do also?
No, just February.
February, okay, so I'll do a roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Abstain.
Amanda Reed,
Abstain.
Barbara Yocum,
Yes, aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Yes.
Chris McNamara,
Yes, sir.
He's staff.
oh, okay, thank you. Jeff Tillotson,
Jeff Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corpusero,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Abstain.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham abstained, wasn't at the meeting.
Robert Schwartz,
Abstain.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
and Roger Hoyt, aye. Is there anyone I missed? Okay. Go back to the agenda, Jason. Okay, next we have the cash schedule for February.
I'll do that, Roger.
Okay, thank you.
Cash schedule, February 1 to 2/29/2024. Opening balances, January 31st, 2024. Total opening balances are $472,878.66. Cash receipts and transfers. Total is $699,498.70. Total cash on hand before this warrant, $1,172,377.36. Less the amount of this warrant, all cash disbursements, $400,210.71. Balance after the warrant is $772,166.65. On deposit as of February 29th, 2024. Total on deposit, $772, $166.65. That concludes the report.
Are there any comments or questions?
I move to accept the report, subject to audit.
Tillotson seconds.
Thank you. I'll have a roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corpizero,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Cunningham, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye, sorry, slow with the mute.
and myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. So that takes care of that one. Next on the agenda, administrative matters, we have the audit presentation from Roland Lambalot.
Roger, Mr. Chair, did we do guest announcements questions?
No, we'll go to guest announcements and questions.
Thank you, sir. I know Holly had something, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Holly?
Thank you, Glenn and Roger. I wanted to let you know that MRPC is doing another drive to benefit the veterans at the Montechusett Veterans Outreach Center. We'll be holding this starting Monday, and it will go until May 20th. The things that we're going to focus on are housing and personal items that they are in need of ongoing throughout the year. But I have several examples listed there. The last couple of times that we've given an update on food drives that we had, I believe we've had one or two people ask that we let our communities know as well. So if they had any desire to participate in donating any items, that they would be able to do so. If Jason, can you pull that up just a little bit? Maybe it's just my screen here. If anybody does want to participate, if you want to drop any items off, the one thing I would ask is that you send me an email so I can make sure that we would have the building open and somebody would be there to receive the items. We aren't all there during the week. We typically are there on Monday and Tuesday, but certainly we could arrange to have somebody be there to open the building and help you out. My email is down on the bottom of this notice here. But if you'd like, we can also arrange to pick up any items if they're collected and like within a town hall or a public building. I'd be more than happy to either pick them up myself or have another staff member come out and do that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, we'll be starting this on Monday and we'll be running it through May. And that's it. I hope that we have a very successful drive and collection that we can bring over to the Veterans Center in May.
Hey, thank you, Holly. Any other announcements or guest comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, administrative matters. The first item, 5.1, audit presentation from Roland Lambalot. Go ahead, Roland.
Okay, thank you. Last year I had mentioned that for those of you who've been here for prior audit presentations, some of the discussion will feel repetitive. There'll be some of that. The good news this year is that there were no new GASB pronouncements that affected the statements of the audit. This should cut down on the length of my presentation, allowing you extra time to be working on your March Madness brackets. And it's interesting to see the women's brackets finally getting the attention that they deserve. The audit was handled remotely this year. We were unable to schedule time to get out there. Linda and Chris were gracious enough to forward along whatever we required. This gave us the opportunity to review what transpired during the fiscal year as far as any changes in funding, sources, staffing levels, and unusual activity, provided all the materials necessary in order to perform the audit procedures that were developed in our audit programs. The audit reports reflect an unmodified opinion on the financial position and no findings to be reported in the areas of internal control and compliance. There is a management letter this year. The focus of this year's audit was reviewing financial activity, the changes in consistency with prior years. We delved into 2 old issues with the state, one of which has been resolved. Now on to the bound statements. I had sent along some pages. I don't know if they were put up separately, that I had them marked up as I thought it would be easier as opposed to directing you to certain pages and then telling you where to try to find the information on the page. So I don't know if you have those or.
Those are all in the handouts folder. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, I have all the documents open, so if you could tell me which document you're referring to, I can try to keep up and open that document and follow along as best I can.
There were about 10 pages that I was going to specifically refer to, starting with page 7, and I had markings on them, which would obviously lead those of you who can see them on the screen to items that were of pertinence. That first document that you're looking at is called the client representation letter. That is essentially just something that I had mentioned in the email to Glenn and Linda that just needed to be signed on the last page and returned to me. That didn't need to be obviously set up as something for you to go over at tonight's meeting. It just indicates the representations that the agency makes to me relative to completion of all items that we request, and obviously taking responsibility for an innumerable amount of items. You'll see that goes on for about 7 pages. It probably started out maybe about half a page when I first started in this business, and it just grows because they keep adding more and more requirements of things that you need to take responsibility for.
Just real quick, Peter Cunningham, I got a question. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I think, are you, Roland, you directing us, there's a document that was in our materials handout, statement of net position, June 30th, 2023. And there starts with page 7, and then there's some, there are markings on that. Is that what you're referring
I
to?
had sent over five attachments. This would have been number 4.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, number 4 doesn't really mean anything to me.
Jason? It
Yeah,
says
yeah.
I'm looking
statement
at
of net
one
position,
that's
two
called
two
statement
tabs
of
to the
net-
right.
Okay,
One
one
more.
person at a time. I'm
There
sorry.
you go. Try that.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one I'm looking at.
All right, go ahead, I guess, Roland. Roland, I think you might have muted yourself somehow. I'm not sure.
There's someone in the waiting room.
I do not see that.
Well, if you can't find it, we can probably just go through the audit report.
Oh, there you are.
That's
No,
fine.
I think I am where I'm being told that I should be anyway. You can go ahead, Roland.
Okay. Are you going to scroll on the screen to the particular statements, or
I'm going to do the best that I can, yes.
the particular pages, I should say?
Yes.
So Roland, would you like Jason to go to the full audit report document and scroll through those pages?
Probably should have been clearer when I sent it over, the direction that I was going to take this in.
Oh, and right now, Roland, we have statement of net position on the screen. Is that what you want to review, sir?
Okay, you're on it. I see something on my screen that just says slow network connection. Is that on everybody's screen as well?
No.
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
We have statement of net position on our screens, Roland, if you want to talk about the statement of net position.
Okay, but I've got something over the top of that. Page 7, the significance of the arrows pointing to the revolving loan fund is that it's now presented with a current portion as well as a non-current one. And there were sporadic payments in the past that did not allow for an estimate of what might be received in any given year. The current portion is what you expect to get within the next fiscal year. Okay, but this has been taken care of. The monthly payments are now on a set schedule, so this will ensure that the loan is paid in full and eventually can be reloaned on another project. Before, in prior statements, those numbers were combined under non-current assets, but now that there is a fixed schedule with continuing monthly payments, we can break out what you expect to receive in fiscal 24, and the non-current portion is obviously what's going to come after that particular fiscal year. Just want to let you know that obviously that has been a problem child in the past. There were some years that were no payments made. The individual fell pretty far behind, so it's been an encouraging to watch this thing get resolved and the money be collected. So like I say, you can eventually get to another project in the area. Page 8, if you can just move down to that. So a couple of items noted as A and B. Item A relates to the original battle, the ongoing battle with the state regarding the Commission's lack of contributions to the retirement system. This number represents the actual dollar amount contributed by the state on behalf of the Commission. This kind of goes back to the start of the Commission when you didn't have these problems. The state was making the contributions for you and there was nothing ever come of it. I think it's just significant to know that you're looking at $229,000, which is the annual required contribution, which for MRPC is neither realistic nor sustainable. You couldn't possibly make that level of contribution. The other item on Schedule B is bad debts. That's made up of a small contract balance that was over 3 years old and appeared uncollectible. The balance of $39,000 is from Mass DOT. I'm going to get into that, what that is in a bit. There'll be a number of items that will be tracked over several pages in the statements, and this is one that I'll get to a little bit later on. Any questions on any of these as you go along? If you want to just interrupt, that's fine. Page 13, the next page. And I keep going down as there's a marking at the bottom of the page right there. GASB 87, I first spoke about this last year when you had to adopt that particular pronouncement dealing with leases. And the first lease that was involved in this, that's where it said effective of July of 22, that one ended I should say that one, not that one, it was above it, but that one ended in June of 22. And the reason it ended is because you entered into a brand new lease effective July 1st. And the new lease started with different terms. We'll cover the effect of these leases starting with the next two pages. So if you can just swap over to page 15. Now the section that is marked up there reflects the net lease activity, essentially showing the new right of use asset of $202,948 coming on the books, and the old asset valued at $197,636 being removed. You have to keep in mind these are not really assets like computers or furniture. The lease assets represents the commission's right to use the space associated with the lease. As I had mentioned last year, the governmental accounting board seemed to think this has some value for you to know what the current value of this lease is worth, the current value of the lease payments, the scheduled lease payments that you make are worth. I'm not sure that that enlightens anybody any more than the fact that you know you've got to send them a check for $3,900 a month, but these are the obviously accounting pronouncements that you have to live under. Now, page 16 is a continuation of this lease. The lease discussion. This is a new schedule of the payments. You'll see that now the new lease involves making regular monthly payments of $3,900 all the way through the end of the lease. So that just shows the summary of the future lease payments. Now what happens is with this, you have to discount that to what the value would be in today's, the future value of those payments is in today's dollars. What ends up happening is this, in the paragraph above it, it says that the actual rent under this computation is $51,318, even though you're only paying $46,800. Eventually, at some point in the lease, what will happen is that number will switch the other way. You'll be paying more than what the rent will be in the financial statements as part of the indirect cost rate. I'm still not sure what the point of all of this is, but like I say, these are pronouncements we have to live with. It's no longer called rent anymore. They break the lease into amortization of the lease asset and interest on the lease liability. So they've effectively turned this lease into a loan. Any questions on this? It's just, like I say, a matter of switching out one lease and bringing on a new one. And what happens with this current lease runs out, you'll have to go through this valuation exercise all over again. So in 27, 28, whenever this finishes up, it will have to be recalculated. You'll have, I'm presuming, still be at that location unless you have the opportunity to get out and acquire property. And that would end, obviously, this particular issue. Now, page 17. What I've circled here is, this is the topic of post-retirement health benefits. MRPC hasn't set up a trust account where medical premiums for retired individuals would be paid out of after you made contributions to it. You're currently using what's called the pay-as-you-go method. The commission within their accounting system is making the contributions by making the payments. If you had a trust set up, you would transfer the money over into the trust, would effectively be the contributions. And as the trust pays out the benefits on behalf of the retirees, then that would be the benefit payments being replaced in that. And there would be obviously some differential between the numbers. But on the pay-as-you-go method, whatever you're paying is your contribution. And I know we have obviously discussed that in a number of audits since this came into effect. Now, page 24. You're going to find out as we go through this that there are 2 page 24s. You'll see at the top, this is the June 30th of 22 page, and you're wondering why are we revisiting a page out of last year's audit. You'll notice that the circled amount on this page is $1,209,000. Now, if you can just move forward to page 24 of the current year audit, you'll see that number has gone down to $758,000. This has been an accumulation of what bills they have sent to you that you have obviously not paid. They had accumulated to $1.2 million up until we had gotten a statement from Maris, who tracks your liabilities in this regard. And the sheet showed that a number of years had effectively been canceled by the state. They canceled the calendar year invoice, I'm calling them invoices, from 2013 through 2018. And on that page, there's no explanation as to why they did that. I remember there was some discussion some time back where they said, look, if we forgive some of these years, you pay the other years. So I don't know if this was they're eliminating those years, but there's still no understanding as to why they did what they did, other than the fact that they still show they continue to pursue 2019 on, which now comes to this $758,000. So you say, okay, yeah, well, we've knocked off $500,000, but it's still money you don't have the capability to pay. I know this is obviously an ongoing discussion between a lot of agencies, of which MRPC is just one. And I guess the decision is still going on as to how much you can afford to pay. They're either looking for dollar amounts, percentages of payroll, or something. And I guess that's going to be an ongoing issue that I don't know when it'll ever get resolved. I would imagine Glenn could speak to that. I just know about the things that I am able to get my hands on, and I don't obviously pay ongoing attention on a daily basis to this. So where is this at, Glenn, just for the board's edification?
Sure, Roland. Happy to contribute. So this 10 or 11 year issue, I can't believe it's been since 13. There's legislation that's pending that the state, I think it's the State Public Services Committee, it has been looking at, and they're pretty favorable. It's been reported out favorably out of the committee to go to the House. That would require the 7 to 10 regional planning agencies and COGs that are involved in this issue to pay a percentage of covered payroll. So as an example, if our covered payroll, is about $1 million, then if we have to pay up to 5%, let's say that's $50,000 check, we'd have to write to the Mass State Retirement System, SMRS, or the Mass Board of Retirement, MBR, whatever they call themselves. This legislation has not yet passed, and it's getting some legs on Beacon Hill, and if it passes, we'll have to start writing a check to that. My understanding is that that legislation would forgive all outstanding, back payments. So this 758,817 that's on the screen here. And that's how I understand the legislation as it is proposed as of today. We will see what happens. The Department of Treasury, MSRS, last thing I would say is that they proposed this legislation about 3 fiscal years ago, and it could pass this. I doubt it's going to pass by June 30. It could pass by December 31 of this calendar year, but I don't know when it's going to pass. That's crystal ball stuff. So that's the status of the legislation. Thanks, Roland.
Okay. Now, continuing on page 24 at the bottom, the same page 24. They change an accounting estimate. Now, this is something, this is an issue that has been going on way longer than the pension issue. This has been something that I know I've been involved with a long time with planning commissions. This is a settlement of a seriously long-term issue with regards to MassDOT. Whenever the original multi-year contracts or current one-year contracts were completed, a determination was made as to whether MRPC received more money than what the auditors calculated or were overpaid. So what we would do is, if you had received too much, we would set up a liability back to MassDOT. If you didn't receive enough, we would set up a receivable, obviously matching them so that there would only be either a receivable or a payable on any given year's financial statement. Now, the calculated overpayments and underpayments resulted in MRPC reflecting a receivable from the state, meaning that you had costs because of increases in overhead rate that you were unable to bill for. But as a settling out process on a yearly basis, we booked it as a receivable. And so right now, the receivable of $39,921, where this process has been concluded, is part of that bad debt that I talked about earlier. It's money that has been sitting there. You're not going to collect this. The state has now taken the position that the contracts will be concluded in the year that they finish, and whether you make money or lose money, the contract is settled out in the financial statement, and that's the end of that. There's no more of this, seeing whether or not you're ever going to get money from them or whether they're ever going to come back after you for money. So this is at least one thing, that has been a long-term issue that has now finally been resolved. So there is no more tracking on an annual basis. You make money or you lose it. I think the state finally realized that they can't go back over all the years involved. All of this money, actually this came about, this particular adjustment. There was an adjusting entry made that I suggested, recommended and made to the books based on an inquiry that was made by another regional planning agency. There was a new individual that took over, and they were looking to find out, well, what is this grant payable? What is this money that I supposedly owe MassDOT? They got a response from MassDOT effectively saying, what I've been telling you is that the tracking is no longer going to be pursued. The issue being that some of these years go back probably 30, 35 years with some of the authorities that have been involved, and obviously they probably haven't kept those records, for one thing, there's only a realistic amount of space that anybody has, and there's only a policy matter that you keep records for a number of years. So I think it was probably the timing was right for this. They probably should have made this known to everybody else a long time ago. But like I say, this just came about. It was brought to my attention by another planning commission that I review their audits before they put them out for public review. And they had indicated this to me. I said, well, how did you find out about this? He said, well, the individual, the new administrator, like say executive director, went out and had this discussion with MassDOT, and somebody actually memorialized it in a letter back to them. And so we finally have one lingering issue gone. when this pension issue goes to bed, then it'll be just regular, ordinary business from here on out. Any questions on that? I assume everybody is following what I'm saying to you, or does anybody not get that? All set? Okay. Page 35. This is your indirect cost computation schedule. I just wanted to highlight in this particular column at the end, those are labeled at the top of the page, unreimbursed costs. They're effectively the unallowable ones. You'll see the bad debts there. You're not going to get anybody to reimburse you for somebody else not paying you. And the other one is the OPEB expense, because the reason that that is not considered to be an allowable cost is because it's not a cash situation. It's not a cash payout. It's just an adjustment to a recorded liability that you have. This liability, that the actuarial liability you put on the books, you'll see it in the statement of net position. The OPEB expense and the net OPEB liability are the same amounts of money. And every time during the year, the current year, that number changes, it either becomes an expense or revenue, depending upon the actuarial results. This year it's a small expense. Last year it was a sizable revenue. So it doesn't impact the activity of the organization as far as any contractual adjustments to any contracts that you have. Now the last page, I think the last page is 39. This is a schedule of the federal money that you expend. You'll see that on the bottom line. It is the total expenditure of federal awards from different types of contracts that you have with them, whether they be EPA or Mass DOT or Mass Highway or EPA. The significance of the circled amount is that the threshold for a single audit is $752,000. You kind of squeaked by this year as to whether or not you would require to have a single audit. The reason I bring this up is the Office of Management and Budget has put forth a proposal that's going to raise this dollar threshold to $1 million. And if you stay in this federal funding range, then that part of future audits won't be required. And I think this, obviously, escalation of this amount up to $1 million is long overdue. And that threshold has been around for probably 15 years at least. So I think they don't take inflation into any cases, but they're finally going to make, I think, a sizable adjustment. I'd like to see more so that none of my clients are in this, but this is the way it is. So at least that's something to look forward to. It'll make the auditing a little less easier. Excuse me. There'll be less work on the auditor's part, less tracking on your part as far as whether or not you're subject to this. The only thing you have to keep in track is if you obviously get a large contract, this is going to be on a year-by-year basis that you have to test this. Because if you don't make it next year, but if you make it the year after, then you've got to have a single audit. And obviously, when you're making the notification to an auditor, you have to let them know exactly whether they need to be preparing to do a single audit or whether they're just doing what's called a yellow book audit, which is the lesser level of service in these particular federal awarding programs. Any questions on any of these pages that we've discussed? Because I'm going to move on to the 5-year statement if anybody.
Mr. Chairman, to Roland, this is Glenn. I do have a quick question, Roland. I'm sorry, when did you say the $1 million threshold would go into effect? Or is there a date for that?
It hasn't yet. It's proposed. And hopefully they'll move a little faster than things normally do in government. And it hopefully could be there maybe as early as June of 25.
Thank you.
Because we're obviously in the 24 cycle here, and I haven't seen or heard anything that, and I'm not sure they would make it retroactive either. So. Okay. Now, the 5-year statements, this is just going to be a quick go through. I didn't mark up any of the items on this. I wasn't sure how much of this I was going to get involved in. In the statement of the net position, I think just bringing up the fact of the revolving loan fund, you'll see that it's a new line in the current assets and obviously a lesser amount in the long-term section. If you look at the long-term section, the non-current asset part with the revolving loan fund, you'll see a couple of years there in 20 and 21, not sure if it was COVID driven or other issues, but there were no payments made in that period of time. And so they finally caught up in a big way between 21 and 22 and have gotten to the point of making regular payments. It would be like you making your mortgage payment, you see the principal go down every month. Same thing's happening in here. Now, if you can just scroll down a little bit more. Under the current liabilities, actually it's in the long-term liabilities, sorry about that. You'll see grants payable. There's no number there under the compensated absence line. That was part of the settling up process. At the end of 22, they owed you. But when you closed out the contract in 23, you had a significant amount that you owed them. I mean, I take that back. That you owed them. There was nice. Think about this for a second. They owed you 50 some odd thousand. You owed them 12. The net came down to 39. So this is where the bad debt came from. So this grant payable went away because it was merged with the amount that you hadn't billed them because of the increase in overhead rate that we're going to see. It was a substantial increase in the fiscal 23 period. So that effectively is gone. Like I say, that will sit there if you continue to see 5-year statements, and that'll go away in another 4 years. Now the net OPEB liability, you'll see that on the last item under long-term liabilities, $1,405,672. And under the net position, you'll see the unrestricted OPEB is the same number. This is because you don't have a trust account where money is set aside. You haven't gone through that process. So you'll see the difference between the fiscal 24 number, the $1,004,000, and the fiscal 22 number of the $1,393,000 is that $12,000 that I alluded to a little bit earlier. That is just a change in the liability. It's not a cash expenditure. There's nothing going on there. If you can roll down to the statement of revenues and expenditures, the next page. Okay, right there. You'll see from 23 and 22 that the total revenues consistent from one year to the next. Now, the next one I want to bring to your attention on here is under expenditures, the last expenditure, the indirect cost. You're going to see a significant increase from 22 to 23. The increases in that area are primarily payroll and benefit related. The way that you didn't have everybody on board. I know when the Parmenter left, obviously that created a significant reduction in administrative payroll. So that is probably that gap in between there and getting someone else into that position, or just spreading out her duties. Now, if you just roll it a little bit more, just a little. Okay, now here's where I mentioned the OPEB expense. I generally keep that on a separate line item because when you look at the operating excess deficiency, that's the actual financial result for the agency for the year. You had an excess, essentially a profit of $4,800, coming down obviously from 23, again, driven by the increase in the indirect costs, the payroll-related items. Now you'll see also on that page, the indirect cost rate went up 25% from 1 year, from 22 to 23. And again, this is just driven by the increase in the indirect costs because the direct salaries are just about the same. You get your numerator, your denominator, from the old math classes. And obviously the 957 divided by 622 is much bigger than the 812 divided by 634. This obviously was the driver of the comment I made earlier about the MassDOT grant resulting in unbilled costs because you had costs associated with it, which you were unable to get from them. You didn't reach the contract limit, and that has been merged out with the grants payable. If we can scroll down into the indirect costs just a bit. Okay, now you've got the retiree health insurance. That's the fourth one down under the indirect cost. You'll see that's going up a little. Obviously, that goes up as more retirees get on board. I'm not sure that that's totally all Linda's, but as you can see that when the retirees go, and obviously with a longer life expectancy for everybody, those who hang around longer, obviously that retiree health insurance is going to continue to go up. And the couple of numbers under that, you'll see the rent and utilities. Just a reminder that rent as a terminology for the agency no longer exists. It's now called that lease expense. And I had mentioned earlier that this amount is the $51,318 is actually higher than the $3,900 a month that you paid for the rent. It's kind of an odd computation. We don't make any adjustments to kind of fool around with the excess amount of money and say, well, we'll keep adjusting it until it runs its course through the 5 years of the lease. I had mentioned that this year is higher. Eventually, at some point in time, the lease expense will be lower, but it'll all add up to 5 times 46,800. And that's essentially what I wanted to cover on Matt. The last item that I wanted to go over was just the management letter. There was one item in there this year. I don't know if you've got that there. It was one item to just bring to management's attention. There was an invoice that I discovered during the performance of audit procedures on the accounts receivable balance that the month of June for the MassDOT contract was not recorded. And in and of itself, one invoice obviously is not a big deal. It's just the materiality of the invoice. I believe it was somewhere in the range of $60,000 to $65,000. Obviously, I consider it more of a clerical issue, not an attempt to misstate the financial statements, because obviously that would not be to your benefit to not have all that additional revenue in there. So it's just indication of recommending policies that you have some kind of a procedure in place, that maybe just a sheet where you say, okay, here's all the people we have to invoice by month, and then you check off the box that you did it. Not that difficult of a process, but I think had this been in place, obviously that would not have been best. Decided not to make that a finding in the statements, primarily because I think it's an oversight. Yeah, it's material, but I'm just not that kind of guy that's just going to go around, beating people up. I see some audits that people put in there, and the findings that they put I find repulsive and not necessary. They're so negligible as far as financial impact. Obviously, just something I wanted to bring to your attention. That's the end of the presentation, unless there are some pages that you may have looked at in the rest of the audit that I didn't go over and you have any questions on it. Does anybody have anything they want to raise at this time?
Actually, this is Jeff Tillotson from AIR. You've done a great job explaining this. Thank you. I saw the circles and the arrows as I was going through this, and I'm glad you walked us through it. Just to go back to the year, the 5 year we were talking about statement of revenues and expenditures, you talked about the change in rent and utilities going to lease expense. However, utilities is a zero. Utilities is nothing in 23.
The reason for that is that the new lease, the utilities are included in the 3,900.
I
they weren't
assumed,
before.
thank you very much. I assume so. I just wanted to double check. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. It may have been in my notes, but I just obviously went by it if it was.
No, that's okay. It's just, hey, I haven't seen the lease, but if it's included and there's not a great accelerator, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, I think what I would suggest is a vote on the acceptance of the audit, so that if you look at footnote 21 on page 25, there is an indication that the statements are available for issuance, and generally the date of the statements would be today when the audit was approved and accepted. And this way we can then go out and do the final piece of work, which is filing the data collection form with the federal government, which is due by the 31st.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Are there any further questions? I don't see any, so I will entertain a motion.
Roger. I'll make a motion, Guy Corvisor, to accept the audit as presented.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Jeff Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corpizero,
Aye.
Forgot.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Cunningham, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. So the motion carries. I'll move on. Glenn, do you want to handle 5.2?
I'd like to thank Roland while he's here and say, Roland, take the rest of the night off with pay or hang around. It's up to you, good man.
Got to go home and have some supper. I'm dying here.
There you go, sir. Thank you, good sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you, Mr.
Glenn, I'll
Chairman.
turn this over to you.
Thank you, sir. I certainly want to thank for Roland, just for whether you've been here for 10 years or you're relatively new to the organization. Roland's been auditing the MRPC's books for the 25 years that I've been involved with the organization. He does a superior job, and he's a great asset to us. So I just wanted to say that. I would have said it when he was in the room, but I guess he's hungry. So without further ado, hiring of transportation planner for Transportation Department, where are requesting action. So the gist of this is that I think we all know now that Mr. Brian Doherty has been promoted to the position of Transportation Projects Director. Mr. Harris resigned on the 5th of January, and Brian took over that role on the 8th of January. We soon after that advertised for the position to succeed or follow, but certainly not replace Brian in that role, transportation planning. And we've advertised, we've received half a dozen resumes, give or take. We've advertised, we've interviewed, 3 or 4 people for the role. And that typically, historical footnote, what we typically do is we propose a name, we propose a salary, and we ask for commission approval. Because things are a little bit fluid right now, this is not like it was 20 years ago where you got 25 to 50 resumes. We got a few, we got a handful, we got them fairly recently. We have a couple of strong candidates, and I did speak with the top candidate on Tuesday. I talked to her again today, and she is interested in coming on board, but she's not 100% sure she wants to, and we're talking about salary and benefits right now. So what I'm asking for the commission's approval is to set a budget of $70,000 and to authorize me to hire either person A or person B. If the first candidate wants to roll with it, I'm suggesting we'll probably offer her somewhere in the 60s, not 70, but the budget in the transportation budget with MassDOT is about 70. And that's the gist of this report and resolution. Can we have authorization to move forward to continue negotiation? If we get a positive vote tonight, then I would talk to the management team on Monday about this candidate, call her on Monday, and see if she wants the role. If not, we have to go to the number 2 person. And that's why you don't have a name in front of you tonight. But I can say that they're both qualified individuals, and this is authorization to set a budget and move forward. So I believe Mr. Cunningham has his hand up, Mr. Chair, and I'm going to mute my microphone. Thank you.
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just quickly, Glenn, is this an internal candidate or somebody from the outside?
Outside candidate. The party lives in this region, in Royalston, as a matter of fact, and is local and loves the area. And today she indicated she read a lot about the organization, even some more so that she did some more research, and she really wants to land here. So we're just trying to capture good talent. But this is an outside candidate.
Thank you.
Glenn,
We
this
see
is
any
Barbara.
other hands?
Question.
Go ahead, Barbara.
So just the way this is worded, I would suggest, I was a little confused because it looks like Brian Doherty replaced Brad Harris, but now we're replacing Brian Doherty. I thought, oh, Brian is leaving already. Maybe there's just another way when this is written up in the minutes to make that a little more clear. So it looks like Brian had been the transportation planner, but he was promoted. Is that correct?
Right, my apologies. I should have expanded that sentence to replace Mr. Doherty's senior planner position now that he's been promoted, and I should have added those words. Barbara, that's great catch.
Well, that would be helpful. I was a little bit shocked that we were losing Brian already. So, yeah.
Not
Okay.
over my dead body.
Okay, thank you.
And I was going to say, Glenn, she's read so much about the place she wants to work there, and Brian's leaving. I'm sorry, I can't go there. Jeff Tillotson, are we looking at the resolution now, Mr. Chair?
Yes, if there are no other comments. Okay.
Be resolved. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go. The resolution, be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission approves of the Executive Director's request to hire a qualified person to be the agency's new transportation planner at an annual salary not to exceed $70,000, and that the name of the new employee will be presented to the commissioners at their next meeting.
So moved.
Okay, just a clarification then, Glenn. Is this person, if they're selected and accepted, would they not be starting until we have approval at the next meeting? Is that?
What this authority would basically to hire the qualified person. So if you take this vote tonight, then we can ideally conclude negotiations, let's say next Monday with the party, and the starting date would TBD, to be determined, and that starting date would come soon. But then I could at least go public. Let's say we do meet in April, and that's subject to a vote down below on the agenda. Then we can present that name at that time, as long as the party has, as long as she said yes.
And then start would be after that meeting then.
If we talk to her Monday, she could be on the following Monday, which would precede the April meeting, or she could say, for some reason, she can't start till May 15th, which would be after the April meeting.
Okay, so if we approve this tonight, you're all set to go, and
Yes.
we don't have any more votes. We'll just at the next meeting have an introduction of the name. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, then I will do a roll call vote.
Tillotson seconds, by the way.
Bob Schwartz will second.
All right, so roll call vote. Alan Pease.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Aye.
Guy Corpizero,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. The motion carries. Okay, Glenn, do you want to go on to next item, 5.3, hiring
Thanks.
of interns?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The gist of this 5.3 about hiring interns is very similar to transportation planner above, in that I'm requesting that we set a budget for what we would call the college summer break season, in that I'm looking for $30,600 for the hiring of up to 4 interns for no more than 12 weeks at an hourly rate of $17 per hour. And that's what the math comes up to at $30,600. Some interns through the summer might work full time for 8 weeks, half time for 8 weeks, a part time for 12 weeks. But this is the maximum. 17 times 12 times 4 equals the $30,600. I don't believe we're going to need that amount. The budget, basically in the budget of the organization, we have enough funds to do this. I'm going to say Brian in transportation world and Karen in planning and development world. When you put all the numbers together, there's more than enough funding to do this. The benefits are to augment staff capacity, provide us with potential candidates for future hiring. I had indicated in the past, at least one commissioners meeting, that with the great resignation, the great retirement, the great reshuffle, because of COVID, that a lot of people have left the workforce. We get less resumes, and we need to build a pool of candidates for future full-time planning positions, NGIS or admin, at the organization. So this is another link in that chain. Jason, if you'd be so kind to go down to the top of page 4, please, and we can look at the rest. And I indicated that sufficient funds exist, and the resolution, basically MRPC approves of my request for that money at all the math, all the algebra, to complete the objectives identified in the above report. So this gives us some flexibility. So that's the bureaucracy. What's really going on here is we have interviewed several candidates that applied for internships this coming summer break season. Some of the candidates that applied for transportation planner might be a good intern candidate, and we are on 2 parallel tracks to look at a replacement for a new hire for transportation, and on the intern side as well. And it may or may not be true. I don't know yet. We'll have to talk to management team on Monday to see if some of the transportation planning candidates might be an intern or two. We'll have to figure that out. But we have a lot of good intern candidates right now, which I'm either singing zippity doo or hallelujah, because it's nice to have a lot of people that want to come on board who might graduate. My last point is they might graduate May of 26, May of 25, and at least one's graduating May of 24, and they may or may not be looking for full-time employment with us after an internship. So I will share this with you, that I'm breathing a sigh of relief that we're finally getting some candidates that we can pull and expand some human resource, and this would help us to do it. And that's it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Glenn. I will read the resolution. Are there any comments or questions from commissioners? Hearing none. Was that someone speaking? Or just background?
It was an open mic.
Okay, sorry. I'll read the resolution then. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission approves of the Executive Director's request to allocate up to $30,600 for the hiring of up to 4 interns for not more than 12 weeks at an hourly rate of $17 per hour, to complete the objectives identified in the above report. Can I have a motion to approve?
Guy Corbett.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And a second? Do I have a second? Alan,
Second,
thank you.
Page.
I'd say that was Alan speaking up first. Roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye. And Roger, if we could ask Kathy Norton to please mute her microphone when she's not speaking, please.
okay. Kathy, could you mute until you're... Thank you. I don't know. Thank you. I left off with Barbara. Chaz Sexton-Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbizero,
Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye. Aye.
Aye, thank you. Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Glenn. Next item, 5.4, April meeting. Glenn, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, very, very quickly. Because we had a late meeting in March, which we unfortunately have had to do for a few years because of audit presentation, sometimes, not all the time, we don't have a meeting in April. Now, if we do have a meeting in April, that's April 4th. That's about 2 weeks away. And then the next meeting is May 9th, which is 5 weeks after April 4th. It's at the pleasure of the commission. We serve you. However you want to proceed, that's fine. As of right now, I want to defer to Karen and hear from Karen, Holly, Linda, and Brian at this meeting and see if they have anything burning for the 4th of April. Right now, this person doesn't. My title doesn't have anything to bring forward on the 4th. So it's up to the commissioners. But can I just poll the staff? Karen, do you think you may or may not have anything on April 4, such as the LTA or something else? Karen, I'm looking for vote specific stuff because I don't want to delay anybody. So Karen, what say you?
I don't believe there's anything that couldn't wait till May.
Karen,
I don't
thanks so
believe
much.
we're not going to have a second round of DLTA, so that would have been in April. But
Gotcha. Karen, thank you. Brian, may I ask you, sir?
Yep, likely not for transportation either for April 4th.
Okay, great. Linda?
Glenn, tonight was my big night, so I won't have anything. I won't have anything in the
Audit
future.
night's the night to shine for fiscal, right, Linda? Well said. And
She's going to check out for the next 364 days now.
Okay. I want to hear from Holly, my right admin HR arm, and then I'd like to close it out with Jason. So Holly, what say you?
No, I think that we've checked most of what we had, and we should be all set if they want to choose to wait until May.
Okay, Jason, anything burning for April, sir?
No, nothing burning for April.
And now we have a poll of 6-0, nothing burning. That could change. If we do, we would have to request a meeting, but we have nothing now as reported by the staff. So it's up to the commissioners how you want to proceed. Have an April 4th and a May 9th, or not do an April 4th and go to May 9th. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. I'll open the floor to any comments on that.
Move the next meeting to May 9th.
Go ahead, Bob.
Move the meeting to May 9th.
Second, Tillotson.
Yeah,
Okay.
third, Cunningham.
All right. Seems to be unanimous. Okay, so Glenn, Holly, do we need to vote on that, or we just?
We would respectfully request a vote just to take action. We're a
Okay.
public body. It's nice to have a vote. Yes, sir.
All right, so we have a motion and we have it seconded and we have it duplicated. So I will do a roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corpizero,
Aye.
was that an aye?
Yes,
Guy?
it is, Roger.
Okay, thank you. Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Robert Swartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
and myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. So we will see everyone in May, unless of course something comes up. Next item on the agenda, item 6, department updates. The status of all ongoing projects can be found by clicking on the link below. mrmapper.mrpc.org webpage, volume 2.27, current projects. Item 6.1, graphic information systems. Jason?
Yeah, I have no updates at this time, other than I did finish the draft of the Ashburnham map today and sent that out.
Thank you. Item 6.2, planning and development. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. MRPC requests the approval of out-of-state travel for G. Eaton, K. Chapman, T. Murphy, and R. Doherty to attend the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Revitalizing New England Brownfield Summit. The report is the U.S. EPA Revitalizing New England Brownfield Summit 2024 is being held from May 29th through May 30th, 2024 in Portland, Maine. The Executive Director requests approval for 4 MRPC staff persons: Glenn Eaton, Executive Director; Karen Chapman, Planning and Development Director; Tracy Murphy, Senior Planner; and Ryan Doherty, Regional Planner, to attend. Continued attendance at these and similar events assists our staff to administer EPA Brownfields environmental site assessment funds, advancing cleanup projects leading to the creation of new jobs, affordable housing, and the creation of new open spaces. In addition, attendance at this particular conference includes New England-specific information and guidance from the EPA Region 1 Brownfield staff and state Brownfield staff. This expands employees' awareness of best practices in assessing and redeveloping brownfields throughout New England and helps staff improve MRPC's management of our EPA grants. MRPC currently has a Brownfields Award in the amount of $500,000, and staff have attended these conferences throughout the 25 years MRPC has been awarded Brownfields funding. The current EPA grant began October 1st, 2023 and runs to September 30th, 2027. MRPC's grant contract with EPA, or cooperative agreement, includes a line item for attendance at these conferences. EPA strongly encourages grant recipients to attend as it benefits grant recipients in understanding brownfield redevelopment, legal and financial matters, and increases our awareness of new contaminants such as per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS. The total cost for travel, hotel, registration, and meals will not exceed $2,200 for the employees, and that's for all 4. Conference costs for this conference will be charged to the existing EPA MRPC grant award travel line item, which anticipated this conference for Karen, Tracy, and Ryan. Administrative funds will be used for Glenn's travel costs. And the resolution, be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission approves the out-of-state travel of Glenn Eaton, Executive Director, Karen Chapman, Planning and Development Director, Tracy Murphy, Senior Planner, and Ryan Doherty, Regional Planner, to the U.S. EPA Revitalizing New England Brownfield Summit 2024 in Portland, Maine on May 29th and 30th, 2024, at a total cost not to exceed $2,200.
Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution as presented?
So
Tillotson
moved.
moves.
Yeah, so moved.
First, are there any
Second.
comments? Entertain any comments or questions? I don't see or hear any, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move the motion, Guy Corbisiero, or I should say the resolution.
Okay, and a second?
Bob Schwartz, second.
Okay, thank you, Bob, Guy and Bob. I'll do a roll call vote now. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Chaz Sexton Duranian,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Copizero,
Aye.
Kathy Norton, Kathy Norton,
Aye.
thank you. Kyle Nardowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Bob Schwartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. The resolution carries.
Roger, did Karen say where this is going to be? I'm sorry, I didn't.
I think it says
No.
Portland, Maine,
Wow.
Portland, Maine.
at the end of May.
Yes.
We
It's
wish
after
you good
Memorial
weather.
Day weekend.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
Right. Karen, this is item 6.2.2, award round 1 DLTA. That's
Yes.
for you to handle. Thank you.
Yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. MRPC was awarded $207,474 in DLTA funds for 2024. This is the 17th year regional planning agencies and councils of government have been awarded these funds from the state budget. In the past, MRPC has tried to complete as many projects as possible for our communities with these funds. Statistically, MRPC has funded an average of 14 projects per year under the DLTA program, with an average dollar amount per project of $14,820, or a total of 255 hours for each project at the lowest paid planner's billing rate. This number of hours equals approximately 6 weeks of work. This is an insufficient amount of time needed to complete a project at a high level of execution and quality. Providing the best service to our communities includes delivering high-quality planning projects within budget is this agency's goal. DLTA projects typically require that an experienced planner be assigned to work with those planners rising through the ranks of projects to provide experience, knowledge, and mentorship. Historically, we have funded too many projects with DLTA funds. It costs approximately $113,436 for MRPC to pay our most junior planner for a year in FY24. Most likely, hourly rates will increase on July 1st for FY25, increasing the amount needed to pay our planners. Thus, DLTA funding covers about 1.75 full-time equivalent of our lowest paid planners for 1 year. We cannot expect 1.75 full-time equivalents in human resources to complete all 14 DLTA projects in approximately 9 months. MRPC needs to pivot into being more realistic with its DLTA work assignments to its planning staff to deliver the highest quality project possible to its communities. In response to a first solicitation issued January 10, 2024, a total of 12 proposals were received for use of District Local Technical Assistance (DLTA) resources to provide a variety of services. The proposals received are as follows. 1. Ashburnham to review and update inaccuracies on the zoning map and street map, $2,500. Number 2, Ashburnham, final public presentations and compilation of final master plan, $15,000. Number 3, Athol, update of draft economic development and transportation circulation master plan elements and development of land use and services and facilities master plan elements, $0. Number 4, Groton, completion of evaluation of the economic, transportation, and related impacts of the Groton Hill Music Center on the town, $12,000. Number 5, Harvard, update of all the 2012 and 2016 master plan elements, $0. 6, Leominster, review of city ordinance and recommendations for amendments to facilitate increased housing development, $8,000. Number 7, Royalston, development of the following master plan elements, goals and objectives, land use, economic development, and housing, $103,737. Number 8, Shirley, assistance complying with the new Chapter 40A, Section 3A for MBTA communities, $14,000. Number 9, Sterling, mapping project to prioritize parcels for acquisition and protection for preserving ecosystems, wildlife corridor, conservation, and critical water resources, $2,000. Number 10, Townsend, assistance complying with the MBTA communities, $11,000.
Can we
And number
scroll down?
11, Townsend, assistance
you.
reviewing and amending the town's accessory dwelling unit bylaw and recommending changes to facilitate permitting and affordability, $11,000. Number 12, Westminster, assistance complying with the new MBTA communities, $12,237. All costs are approximate. Final budgets may differ between this date and the time that the DLTA planning services agreement has been fully executed with the town.
All right.
The following master plan criteria was used in MRPC's DLTA call for proposals. 1, has your community ever had a master plan? 2, if yes to 1, what is the date of your community's most recent master plan? Number 3, does your community have any elements of a master plan completed? And if so, what elements are they and what was their date of completion? Number 4, will your community apply for additional grants outside of DLTA to complete your master plan elements? Or will your community appropriate local funds for completion of elements? And 5, will your community appoint a master plan committee to oversee and contribute to the process? Resolution requiring commission action. Be it resolved that the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, MRPC, recommends that numbers 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the above named project requests for DLTA, if eligible, be conditionally awarded based upon further communication, clarification, negotiation with the applying communities and approval from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. Moreover, all activities in some applications may not be awardable or fundable under the DLTA program. MRPC commits to working with the towns of Athol and Harvard to help them obtain funding from other available resources such as the Massachusetts One Stop and/or Planning Assistance Grant programs to complete master planning tasks in place of using DLTA funding. These recommended projects are conditionally awarded and are subject to the conditions listed below. 1, the services to be delivered to the communities will be completed commencing no earlier than a fully executed contract between the subject community and the MRPC. 2, services will be delivered to the subject communities during the implementation of the district DLTA program year 2024. The award of services from the MRPC is subject to the A, funding available to the MRPC during the program year 2024, B, successful negotiation of a detailed scope of services, schedule for the completion of tasks identified in scope of services, and budget utilizing DLTA and other funds if available and eligible
Scroll
for
down,
the
please.
prevention project. C, execution of a contract between the MRPC and the community. And 4, Where and when possible, the MRPC will deliver the tasks related to analysis, preparation, and presentation reports as indicated above. The MRPC and the community requesting services will outsource consulting services only when absolutely deemed to be necessary by both the community and the MRPC. This is an award of services from the MRPC to the applicable community. This is not a cash award. 6, if at any time Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities determines that the project is ineligible, the award of services will be null and void. 7, the municipality and all municipal departments shall provide MRPC with cooperation, access, assistance to public data applicable to the DLTA project, including providing such materials. Related costs associated with this, data collection, photocopying, etc., will be at the expense of the municipality. That's it. Thank you.
Karen, may I ask a question? This is Barbara.
Yes, you may.
So it looks like we have two towns that are have zero, Ethel and Harvard, and Royalston is in for over, what is it, 103,000 something?
Yes.
Can you, that seems kind of lopsided to me. Can you explain that?
So we had a discussion, Glenn and myself and my team, about how we wanted to approach DLTA, and because so many communities were asking us about master plans, we decided that this year we were going to use half of the DLTA money to start a community's master plan. And that's why we have that criteria listed. So we want to start Royalston's master plan doing 4 chapters to begin with half of the DLTA money. And then next year we'll start another town. We just want to see how this goes. And so in the call for proposals, we prioritized that and MBTA communities. And there were some other projects that were outside of that that we thought we could try to do.
Is this the first time that you've done that? It seems in the past it's been more equitable among the towns.
No, this is the first year we're trying
Yeah, can I chime in, Mr. Chairman, to Barbara's question?
Go ahead, Glenn.
Barbara, yes, this is an experiment. So for 17 years, a couple of things are going on here, or several things are going on here. Several other regional planning agencies do one master plan for one town for the year and don't do anything else. We've been at the other extreme the last 16 years where we try to please everybody. And we're realizing that, especially the last 3 to 5 years, I mean, before COVID, bluntly, we're spreading ourselves too thinly on the from the budget point of view. When Karen had her first paragraph or second paragraph up there are a couple things going on. There are not enough DLTA dollars to do every project and to do every project well. The DLTA money doesn't support enough human resources. So the past, bluntly over the past 10 to 15 years, because there aren't enough DLTA dollars to pay for the staff to deliver DLTA services, what Karen and I have to do is use the Economic Development Administration contract to try to essentially subsidize the DLTA program, or admin dollars to have staff work on projects, which gooses our overhead rate. So there are several reasons that are kind of behind the scenes that I'm just stating publicly tonight. We'd like to try something different. Also, we have always said for 17 years in our DLTA request for RFP, essentially, a call for proposals, that we reserve the right as a commission to push back and say, collectively there are too many projects and we can't do everything, but we promise to work with the communities, and that's what Karen's report says about the 2 communities, Athol and Harvard, to identify and pursue other grant resources, because at the end of the day, that's what we need to do. We can't subsidize the DLTA work with EDA or admin, but there are 4 other state planning programs that collectively we've not been pursuing. And there are 3 planning grants under the Massachusetts One Stop program that, folks, we'll write the grant proposals. we'll go get the money, we'll help, or we'll do it cooperatively, or if your local planner wants to do it, we'll figure that out. But more dollars need to come into the organization to do two things. One, to provide more money to do the DLTA type programs, the zoning bylaws, the master planning, open space, and all the other good planning, housing and MBTA 3A. On MBTA 3A community planning, that has been a huge hit to the DLTA program. That's another resource. It's another project or series of projects that the state has said, this is now the law. The towns will have the zoning district in place. You can use DLTA. So that also contributes to the lack of resources available under DLTA. But we did. You're absolutely right, Barbara. We're saying for as an experimental year, we're suggesting, and you're the commissioners. You can vote this down, up, or change it. We're suggesting that we try to do some good, larger project, one master plan. Pursue many other planning grants that we should have been pursuing the last 10, 15 years in PAG or planning assistance grant, and then the one-star programs to bring more dollars in to do more planning. So and I'm behind this. This isn't Karen on her own. I mean, I've been wanting to do this for years to say, folks, we need more money coming in to do more because DLTA has been oversubscribed. And here's the bottom line, Barbara and everybody else, and I will close. I promise I close by saying this. We need to do better quality products. Not that the planners aren't busting their hump. That's not the issue. But you know what? There just isn't enough time to do some better planning, and we need more dollars from the other planning resources to come in to do higher quality, higher quantity planning. Because, I mean, some years we've been doing 14, 15, 16 DLTA projects. And Barbara, I'm going to defend the staff. For a decade and a half, it's been killing the staff. So we're trying to better manage and balance the dollars with the deliverables. I hope that answers your question. It is a sea change, and I admit that. I hope that answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jeff. I have a
Stacia has a question or comment.
Yeah, Stacia, go ahead.
Hi, just a couple of quick things. Yeah. Harvard, I'm going to say we totally understand this and we're totally in support of this. I know it takes a lot of effort to get master plans work done. So, and we did ask early, we're not actually overdue until 2026, so we don't mind waiting. So that way you can prioritize. So that's fine. Barbara, thanks for looking out for us. That's true. And the other thing I will say is that Harvard, we did discuss at our planning board meeting just this past Monday that we might possibly pull our DLTA request because the lifting of the cap at Devens might change all of our calculations in Harvard. So so we might wait to see how that shakes out anyway. So anyway, thanks Barbara for looking out for us. Thanks Karen and team. We're totally good with it.
Thank you, Stacia. I think Peter has a comment.
Can I follow up with that, Roger, first? Stacia, what do you mean by lifting the cap at Devens? What is that?
It's in the legislation that's going to the governor's desk, I think, for July, that they're going to just lift the cap. No more cap. It's
Wait, the cap for housing?
Housing and commercial.
What? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's breaking news. Thank you.
It's Mr.
Hey,
Chair,
Peter?
Jeff Tillotson.
Yeah,
I'm
Peter?
happy to send the article to people if they want to have it, because in AIR we're concerned about it too. But I can happy to forward that along to share with the commission if wanted.
I'd like to see that. Thank you.
Is a good word for air.
Thank you.
Flipping
Peter?
out is Harvard.
Peter, you had a comment?
Cunningham?
Yeah,
I got
I
nothing.
thought maybe it was George then. I saw someone wanted to speak. Is there anyone else?
And just so
Okay.
you know, with the criteria, Athol, Harvard, and Royalston has never had a master plan that we could find. And so they won.
This is
Hey,
Kyle.
Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kyle from Nardowitz from Royalston. Like
We are really excited to finally get a master plan because, in general, it's difficult to kind of do any real planning when we only have like 1,200 people in town. So the help to do this will be very significant for us. So we're quite excited.
Thank you. Any other comments? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Bob
Tillotson,
Schwartz, so moved.
Bob
Tillotson,
Schwartz,
second.
Tillotson, second. Okay, I will do a roll call vote. Alan Pease,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
Barbara Yocum,
Aye.
Jazz Sexton-Duraria,
Aye.
Jeff Tillotson,
Tillotson, aye.
Guy Corbizero,
Aye. Aye.
Kathy Norton,
Aye.
Kyle Nordowitz,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart,
Aye.
Peter Cunningham,
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
Stacia Donahue,
Aye.
myself, Roger Hoyt, aye. So the resolution passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome, Karen. Thank you. Next item, 6.3, transit and transportation.
Yep, I just had one quick
Right.
item I wanted to point out. It's actually a survey on our website. So Jason, I don't know if you could pull our website up.
I'm working on it now. Just give me a second.
Sure. So we have a survey available as part of our safety action plan, and this is all part of the Safe Streets for All grant that we're working on. And basically, it's just it's a very data heavy plan we're working on. We're looking at crash data, data from the transit and MBTA and a number of different resources. But we're also looking for anecdotal data, and this is in relation to safety on the transportation facilities in the region. So you can see on our website, on our announcements, there's a tab for a safety action plan. There's also right below that some more information about the Safe Streets for All as well. So if you click on the safety action plan public survey, you'll be able to access it. And it's just a quick survey. Again, looking for more anecdotal type of specific locations in the region where there could be a safety issue. And this is available through May 8th. So we'll be promoting this up until then. And I guess that's it for now. We're right at the beginning stages of this plan. So this is sort of the first steps, and this will inform the results as well. And of course, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to myself. Well, that's all the updates I have. So.
Roger, you're muted.
Thank you. All right. Were there any comments on for Brian? Seeing none, we'll go to the next item, item 7, new business. Does anyone have any new business or topics to announce? I don't hear any. I just say March 27th we're nearing a close on our public presentations of the master plan chapters. Thank you, Karen and Glenn and Brian and all staff for moving that along.
You're welcome.
Yeah, seeing none other than the new business, then item 8, adjournment. The date of the next MRPC meeting to be determined will be no meeting in April. Next meeting will be in May. Okay, hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we
So
adjourn.
move.
5-0.
Second.
Thank you both.
A second.
Glenn, do we need, Holly? Okay, thank you. Do we need to do a roll call on that?
No,
No.
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 Okay, thank you.
Just
Losing
declare
my
us
voice.
adjourned.
The March meeting of MRPC Commissioners is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Roger. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Roger.